So here's another movie that's been delayed for quite some time, and I'm guessing because it's Ray Liotta's final film or one of his final films. And I'm wondering if they're thinking, should this be a straight to Blu-ray movie or should it actually get a theatrical run? Well, it got a theatrical run, less than 1,000 screens. Did it deserve it? Let's find out. Chase Lee Hockey here with the Blue Futon reviewing 1992. So what is this about? Pretty simple premise. We were in 1992 LA during the Rodney King riots. And you know what? These robbers, they wanted to rob this platinum place, a place that has platinum, right? And they're like, it's too risky, too risky. But of course, the jury said not guilty for the 4 or 5 cops. And you know what? They said diversion, let's do the robbery. But Tyrese Gibson wants to get his son out of the hood because he's like, look, I know what shit goes down. I don't want my son to be a part of it. I've been in jail. I'm trying to give him the better life. So let's go to the plant because it's probably safer than the hood. Well, what do you know? Robbers are there, and now he's got to make sure his son is safe. So, do I like this film? So, I think I've seen this trailer once, and it was a long-ass time ago. Because, like I said, I think it was delayed for over a year. I want to say it was supposed to come out sometime in 2023. Got delayed to January 2024, and now it finally came out at the very end of August of 2024. So, overall, it's a pretty solid film. I think it was well crafted. It looked good. I do think it took its time to get to the final third act, and that could be either a pro or con. To me, it's a little bit more of a con because it felt like the third act started to be really, really rushed. And yes, I know you want to do the tension extremely high at that point, but I feel like the tension was more focused on more like race relations with cops and Tyrese Gibson's character, which I completely understand during that time in 1992. But trying to mesh them, it works most of the time, but sometimes it doesn't. I think that's the biggest issue I have with this film. But overall, I think Tyrese Gibson does a good job in this film. It's been a while since I don't even know if he's actually has been a leading man. The last time he's probably been a leading man was probably like, Waist Deep? That I could think of. That was like a 2005 film. Yes, of course he's in the Fast and the Furious. Of course he's in Transformers. But I'm trying to think when he was actually like the lead man. I think this is probably the last movie he's done. I don't know. But I think he does a good job. Even though I go to Stretch Lab and my guy showed me Tyrese Gibson doing the Django Unchained, sending the video to Quentin Tarantino, and it wasn't good at all. I know he was trying to go for Samuel Jackson and or Jamie Foxx's character. It didn't work at all, and I think that actually diminished what he said. Now he's been saying weird stuff right now, saying like he's been acting since he's been 8 because he was fake playing quote unquote retarded to get more money from the government for his mom. So you're just thinking, oh shit, what are we going on with him? Anyway, Scott Eastwood's also in this. Ray Liotta's also in it. Overall, acting pretty good. The setting, I won't lie, I was a little nervous of like how this is gonna play into it. I actually think they did a subtle, good job of. They have scenes of where it's like, also during that time, it was the Korean rooftop shooters where you have businesses, George Floyd riots, where it's like people are burning down their own city and the cops are in there, aka Milwaukee. Milwaukee still hasn't been fixed. Okay, it's been fixed, some of it, but there's still a lot of stuff that's still burnt down. And Tyrese Gibson has a very good line in this movie, even though he's blaming it on white people. Sure, maybe in that time. But now it's more of like you have the mayor of Chicago, the mayor of New York, even though the mayor of Milwaukee, I think, was white, but the governor's Waltz, and he's a fucking dick show. But you have things like that where he's like, yeah, the white man doesn't care because we're burning down our own community. To a point, I do agree that, but also to a point, I think it's not just the white man in today's day and age. Maybe in 1992, because I was born. But I wasn't, paying attention because, I lived in Nebraska at that time. But nowadays, it is more of they're saying you need to do it. But then Tyrese, like I said, has a good line saying, the cops aren't here. Where's the fire department? Where's the ambulance? They don't care. We're doing this to ourselves. Like, at a point, yes, you want to have justice, but there's a right way of doing it, and burning down your own neighborhood isn't going to help at all. And you see that part of the line. But you also see the other part where, Tyrese Gibson is going through a police barrier or barricade, if I want to put it that way, and his son is like, you don't have to do this, and Tyrese is like, calm down, just let's just shut up and color at this point because I do not want you to get killed or me to get killed. So I do enjoy that type of tension they put in the movie. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. That part is good, and there's also some good tension at the end with trying to get the characters to connect, especially with Scott Eastwood's younger brother, as well as Tyrese Gibson's son. Like, there is some good elements there where they just know, like, you know what? Maybe we're not on the same team, but this has gone too far kind of thing, and I really enjoyed that. Even at the very end, it felt very... Well, I could understand why, because there's always been a shitty relationship through and throughout with Liotta and Scott Eastwood. So the ending, I would say, kind of makes sense because there's at a point where it's like, yep, he's a dick, it's going to happen. So I did like that. The score, that is the one thing I'm going to say I didn't like the most in this film. Even though I love like the LA noir, like jazzy scenes and like LA Confidential, which that works like a 1920s film. But doing it in this, yes, it was cool for some of the scenes, but then it started to get like louder. And then during some of these Tyrese Gibson fight sequences, we were doing that like on that weird saxophone, like, kind of score. And I'm like, I understand what you're going for, like that noir feel, but I don't think it mixed well with the actual scenes that was playing on the screen. So I was like, wasn't the biggest fan of the score. Also, like I said in the beginning, the pacing. It is broken into 3 parts, and at a point, I don't know if it's a pacing or writing where they didn't know what they wanted to focus on, because the whole movie, like, I would say the first act, the Rodney Key trial was kind of in the background, trying to get to know Tyrese Gibson, his son, and then Scott Eastwood and the actual robbery, what's going to happen. Like, it was in the background. And the second act is where, like, the riots start to happen, and the third act is the actual robbery. Yes, they intertwine a little bit, but at a point, it did feel like it was, like, 3 movies in one, where it's like, okay, we want a father-son relationship and scene. And the next scene, we're going to, okay, we are going to talk about racial relations in LA in 1992. Okay, scene. 3 is straight up a heist movie and thriller to get my son back. You see what I'm getting at? Where it's like, yes, it is 3 parts of this movie, and I understand what we want to do, but does it roll into one another smoothly? It's not the best, but I understand what they're trying to go for. It didn't really bother me, but I did notice, like, they're trying to put a lot in this movie, and I don't know if it, connects as well as it wanted to be. But overall, 1992, it felt like it was a movie filmed in 1992. And what I mean by that, the aesthetics, the cinematography, and the look of the film, it really looked good. And it makes me wonder, like, yeah, I'm never going to want to live in California. Just fuck that, F that, F that. So overall, 1992, I was pretty pleasantly surprised with this film. I like how it looked, the cinematography, how it felt like it was in 1992. It makes me think, yeah, I'm never going to California because I'm good. But anyway, score, a little overbearing in my opinion. Some of the pacing and editing, especially with some of the fight sequences, really jumping. I was like, okay, you could tell that some of the actors weren't doing some of the stuff on screen. But as a overall movie-going experience, was I entertained? Was I intrigued? I'm going to give a pretty solid yes. So 1992 will receive a 3 out of 5 with Futons, which equals at 60%. So see the critics and user scores gave this one. Critics a 69% with 26 of them. Audience score 93%. No critic consensus. So, I would say most of the negatives are 50s and most of the positives are 60s. So it's at that line where, it's one of those mixed bag ones where there's nothing horrendously bad with it, but there's nothing like 5-star level acting. So we got that 93, 60, 69. Chase Leak here at the Blue Futon icon. Let me know what you think. It's Bhutontopia. You Blue Tony, think about your great down. Watch this tape tomorrow, week from a month, or a year from every single free view. I have no idea what the hell that just was.